Hi everyone, I'm Deirdre Breckenridge, CEO of Pure Performance Communications. Welcome to the Nasdaq PR Influencer Series. We're live at MarketSite in Times Square, and joining me in the studio is Jeffrey Hayzlett, author, speaker, chairman of C-Suite Network, and also podcaster, host of All Business with Jeffrey Hayzlett. Hi Jeffrey, thanks for joining me.
It's good to be here, thanks very much.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to see you. And you are the perfect person to talk about executives navigating new media. After all, when I first met you, you were the CMO of Kodak.
Right.
And you were navigating social media for them, and now here you are chairman of your own network.
Years ago, that was a number of years ago. I left Kodak about 6 or 7 years ago. But yeah, back then, I was even doing things like chief blogger. I named the very first chief blogger, the chief listening officer. And back at that time, people laughed at us and thought it was a joke. And now look here, 6, 7, 8 years, 10 years later, and now everyone's doing it.
It's amazing. So you saw that very early on, a lot of the changes. What do you think have been the biggest changes as you've navigated as an executive?
I think the biggest one is about building your own personal brand, without question. Every executive that I see, in fact, back in 2010, when my very first book was The Mirror Test, I wrote, when they see you, they see the business. When they see the business, they see you. It's hard for executives to get away from not being the business and carrying that mantle on their shoulders, which they should do, quite frankly, especially if you're the CEO or maybe the CMO. You should really be that person who is exemplifying the brand itself. But a brand is a promise delivered. So it's very important for us to deliver that promise, state what it is, its conditions of satisfaction, but more importantly for the leader of that brand to live it and walk it. And when they don't, it usually hurts the company. So what we're starting to see even more so is communities now becoming a little bit more intense around the brand themselves, less so in terms of the stuff that we do for TV, for radio, podcast, meaning if you have a community, you have a broadcast network. If you have a community, you have a podcast network. If you have a community, you have friends and families and followers. And so they're starting to realize it's not about the spray and pray. It's about nurturing that community, and that's the most important piece.
Yeah, so that is definitely something. It sounds like that as you were adapting to change, focus on the personal brand, focus on the community. Was there anything else as a top priority for the organization that you were looking at?
Probably the biggest and the best, and it's one that we sometimes forget, is being authentic. You do hear that a lot from the social media gurus, be authentic. I mean, but how can you not be real anyway? So what happens is that social media has peeled back all of those layers of all the crap that a lot of my brethren put out there, meaning as a marketer, we used to be able to buy a commercial, make you cry, and then that's what you believe the brand to be. And then there was really this undercoat underneath that where there was really all this truth, all right? What it was really like, what it was like to call the 800 number and dial through that terrible telephone tree and to get to customer service. Well, that's the essence of the brand. So what social media has done is made us all much more vocal. It's always been there. I mean, they used to have the Klingon Club that used to, talk to the other Klingon Club when they got together across the schools in the city. But now it allows us to have that Klingon Club or that social media network across millions and billions of people. And so you can find each other and you have a much more vocal voice. And so it's forced companies to have to pay attention, and really, understand what the policy is. I mean, you can imagine way back when in 2006, 2007, 2008, when someone would complain on Twitter, the PR team would rush to me and say, we got to give that person a free camera, because it's not working. I'm like, whoa. How many complaints we got? Okay, 4, relax. Add 2 more zeros, come back and talk to me.
Well, you make some great points. Authenticity, making sure that you're listening and tuning in and knowing when to talk and to help with a situation.
Yeah, and sometimes you got to shut up. I mean, truly, as an executive, you don't need to comment on everything. You just need to let people have a voice. And that's okay. Recognize it. You need to engage and recognize it, but it doesn't mean you have to always agree, and sometimes you can disagree. I mean, I have literally, written tweets as an executive of a major Fortune 100 company, to bite me. I said that live on air or in a tweet because the person was just being rude, And it does have some underpinnings of some really bad things. We had a woman named Tina, and she had followers of some people who only followed women named Tina. That's weird. So you have to have some policies in place to watch and protect, you know, not just the brand, but your people as well. And then you have to have policies, you know, of like, you know, like one of our employees one time wrote something negative about McCain. You can't do that. You can do that on your own personal page, but take our logo off your page.
Absolutely.
You know, things like that.
Well, I remember, I think the policy at Kodak was probably one of the first policies when I saw it. It was very much about, we're in this together.
Right.
It's the company, it's the employees, and it's the people. We're trying to protect
Well,
everyone.
I actually wrote that with a couple of our employees who have gone on to some really big things, running social media now at Walmart and other places, and we sat down to create a policy. And then what we did was we went to all the other companies and said, here, take it. Because nobody had it, and we said, well, at least if everyone adopts ours, we'll be the standard. And then what a great, and also for a company like Kodak at the time, what a great leadership moment for that company to say, this is how we're going to do it. Would you like to do it the same way?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we touched on social media, all different kinds of media out there. What do you think we should be keeping our eyes on in terms of new media? Two,
podcast and TV. All right? Because not just because I have my own shows there, but because that's where people are watching and listening. You got to go, as the old comedian Sam Kinison says, go to where the food is, you know, don't live in the desert. Well, the way TV is today, and it's still very successful without question, but TV today is live on Facebook. TV today is live here. It's Periscope. It could be anything. It's two guys talking on Skype with a camera with headphones, and then they broadcast it out. You know, only 50 people watch, but it could be the 50 most people important to their community. So what you're going to see is more TV happening everywhere. And it's going to redefine itself. Why does it have to be 22 minutes with 8 minutes of commercials? Doesn't have to be, right? Why does it have to be 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes? It could be whatever it wants to be. But the key is going to be building, again, that community that knows where to find you. And you're going to have to be everywhere. So for C-Suite TV, we have a digital form, a streaming form on Apple, Roku, Amazon Fire, Opera TV, billion smart TVs, and then in a digital broadcast of some form to a destination. And podcast, big, huge, personal. You know, people are using every minute of their time, so you have to be able to deliver the message the way they want to listen to it. And if it's podcast, it's great. And that's what we're seeing is this, not just listening to when was the last time you rushed home to watch a primetime TV or to listen to a great radio show? You listen to it as a podcast, you listen to it when you want to, and you listen to it maybe over Alexa, maybe you listen to it over your headset, maybe you'll listen to iTunes, maybe it's something else. But you're going to see more and more of that. It's going to be, you know, today it's a couple $100 million in size, and it will be billions of dollars in size. We've seen a major transformation of moving to podcasts.
Absolutely. Let's stay on podcasts for a second. So what would you say to a thought leader, a company that wants to start a podcast? Who should, who shouldn't, why?
Well, it should be somebody that's interesting. That's
yes.
Fine. It doesn't mean your CEO has to be, right? It's like when they first came to me about Kodak and said we should name our CEO, Antonio Perez, should be the person that blogs. Are you nuts? Are you kidding me? No way. You know, he's a business guy. You know, we're about, you know, heartfelt moments. You know, let's go find Jenny Cisney. She was awesome. She laughs, she makes pies, she does everything. I mean, she's just a really cool gal. That's who's in touch. So first of all, define what your brand is, and then who should be the spokesperson for that. It doesn't have to be a commercial about you. It has to be about the thing that you want to lead in thought leadership, right? So the subject. So find a great subject matter expert. Could be in the company, out of the company. But again, define what you want. What are your conditions of satisfaction? And then once you do that, then you can decide, okay, now who's the audience? Now how do we get to them? You know, and then whatever you do, don't get your expectations too high. You know, don't think you're going to be the podcast that 1 million people are going to listen to. It's probably when you first get started, your mom, maybe your brother or sister, and some of the employees, and then you start to build it. So my advice to you building a podcast on the business side, all right, because we have C-Suite Radio, is to build it, and as fast as they come to you is as fast as they'll leave you. So crawl, walk, run.
Excellent. And bring your passion.
Bring your passion.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Along the way.
Exactly. And be yourself. I mean, I on my own show, I won't do it here, you know, sometimes I'll say a naughty word or two, and I get rated for that. But you know, that's me. I can get by with that with my audience. You know, like I had somebody from Goldman Sachs once on my show, and he talked about women being tethered goats. Tethered goats. You know, not a good thing to do. I have a beautiful wife and a beautiful daughter and talented women, and I said I wanted to punch him in the throat. And I said that on my show. And if he was there, if he had been there right then, I think I would have punched him in the throat. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you know, because you have this large online digital platform, what about relationship building? Let's hone in on some of our PR professionals and give advice. What do you think has changed the most with relationship building online, offline, and what are you doing the most?
I think the biggest thing is the number of channels, right?
Right.
You can be reached anywhere, anytime, anyway. And the most important thing is everybody thinks theirs is the right way. So if I prefer email and you prefer text, we might miss each other because I'm emailing you all the time. And so what you have to do is you have to start paying attention. You have to really, you know, take care and engage the audience that you're engaging with, and it's got to be a little bit more one-on-one. So we used to do things with lots of zeros. Now we got to really refine it. And so for a PR professional and for those that are in communication is how do we make that message seem as intimate as possible in that interaction that we have? And sometimes it's going to be very much, or you're at least going to get to the language of that. And so you want to make it more personal. And so with that, it means you're going to take risk. Mm-hmm. And risk is okay. And by the way, you're going to screw it up, all right? That's the biggest thing you need to learn. You're going to make mistakes in this genre. You're going to do something stupid, all right? It's okay. No one died. You know, it might affect the share price from time to time. But most people are pretty good about, you know, if you're real and when you screw up, you admit it, you say it, move on. It's when you don't that it really gets to be a problem.
Well, that kind of gets to another question that I want to ask you about building your digital footprint as an executive and getting out there and doing it the right way. What are some steps? What about reputation? You
know, do it the way you want to, right? Mm-hmm. Certainly you want to protect your own reputation, but if you're not out there doing it, then somebody else is going to define your reputation. So wouldn't you want to do that yourself? So wouldn't you want to take control of your LinkedIn? And wouldn't you want to take control of your Instagram? Wouldn't you want to take control of your Facebook and Twitter? And so you should first of all do that and then decide what you want to do. Now for me, I like one particular one over the other, all right? So I like Twitter.
I like Twitter too.
I do. I really do. And I get business from it. Things come in. And I like Facebook, and I do Facebook from a fan perspective, you know. But I have another personal Facebook that's mine with my kids and my grandkids, and that's where I share my family stuff. And when people come in and talk to me at business, I say, hey, take it offline or go over here, because I just want to define that. But I define that, right? And there are other people who try to change that, but it's okay. You know, I'm going to redefine it because that's the way I want to. So really understand the different ways to do it and how you can do it and which one fits you best. And then go with that. Go with that. And you know, and by the way, everyone will tell you, do it a different way. Do you oh my gosh, you've got to get on Snapchat. Oh my gosh, you've got to get on Instagram. No, you don't. No, you don't. It might will hurt you, maybe. Might help you, you know. If your brain a little bit more conservative, maybe you don't want to be on Snapchat. So that's the kind of things, especially if you don't know how to do it, right?
Right. So do you think we'll see more executives on social media?
Well, I think they're there. Yeah. They're just not as visible. Not everyone has to do what you do or I do. Not everyone has to be the eye candy on television, right? So it's okay for them to be at the level you want, and that's what we need to understand. Like, there's no one way of doing it, and yet a lot of gurus will tell you that this is the way. No, the way you want to do it is the way you should do it. And it might be better for you, it might be worse, but you know what? It's your way. And I would much rather have that than anything. And so being authentic, being real, being transparent is, I think, real critical for you, but do it the way you want to do it.
Yeah, no, I mean, real, transparent. And also, I think as an executive, you also put a team of people around
Without question.
Yeah. Right? Who can support you and can, if you are really busy but you want to be on social media, they're there and they're listening or watching and sometimes pulling you into things.
You can't do it all. I mean, look, I was just at another event. I'm rushing to another one, did this, doing something else tonight. Some things I'll do, some things I don't. I put things through a filter. I have a team that helps me. I'll send it over the wall, as we say. which could be a good thing or not with Trump today, I don't know. But I send it over the wall, and I'm talking about over my
Right,
team's
right.
wall, not Mexico or somewhere else. So that's going to be good for another 10, 20 tweets or likes right there. So, that you just have to learn how to do it that way. But, giving it back to this transparency thing, it's good for companies. It's really good for companies. I mean, look at what Domino's did. Domino's went out and ran commercials that said their pizza tastes like cardboard.
Right.
And they told the truth that it was terrible, and they changed, and we're going to change, and you should come try us again. And their stock went from 70-some cents to over 200. One of the biggest growth of companies you've ever seen, all by telling the truth and being real. So I just my biggest advocation for executives, for teams, is to be real and to be you. And if people don't like it, tough, get out of my way. I don't care.
Get out. So wherever I go, we're constantly talking about leaders getting out of their comfort zone. I was just at a conference that I was keynoting on Tuesday, and I was saying, get out of your comfort zone with data, and you get out of your comfort zone a lot.
Oh yeah.
So talk about that a little bit.
My comfort zone's wide. Okay, meaning what I mean by that is that I'm willing to really stretch it. Because I'm not. I try to be aware of what I'm not aware of, and so a constant state of awareness. I'm from South Dakota. That it's a flyover state, but I'm from South Dakota, and I'm a big hunter. Now I know not everybody's a hunter, but one of the things as a hunter is you're always looking for things, and I'm always being alert. And so that's part of who I am. So I'm in business, I'm the same way. So I'm always looking to read people, and I'm a big guy, so next to somebody like you, am I overpowering you? Am I too close? There's lots of different ways that you can do that. But the key thing is to grow, you got to have some tension. They said no pain, no gain. So having tension, getting out of that comfort zone is a really good thing. Like, let that first tweet fly. Let say something that's that makes a stand. That's okay, for companies to do. So yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I think getting out of the comfort zone, somehow that tension that you talk about, when you feel that tension, instead of stopping, you should say, hey, I'm on to something, right?
Well, I talk in my book about adapt, change, or die for businesses today. That's why you see so many great companies here on Nasdaq, because they're just doing some new things. They're changing and adapting all the time. So bringing some great things to the marketplace. And my belief is you should step through that. It's very easy for most executives, most people, let me just get to people because we're people, not executives, people. We're afraid. The first time I met my wife, she's 5'1", 105 pounds. I'm 6'3", 202 pounds. Okay? And the first time I met her, she scared me. And to this day, 37 years later,
funny.
She scares me. Okay? But I learned to step through.
Keeps you grounded.
She does, without question. She's the boss. But my point is that we're all fearful. And whether you're on a high dive or trying something new or sending the first tweet or doing a press release that may be taken a little bit edgy, we're all fearful of that when we let it go, okay? But it's one, it's two, and you're through it. And no one died. And so that's what we have to learn.
Oh, that's really good. So maybe you could just give a little bit of advice. If you could share with other executives, what is the best way to navigate new media? Especially, we know there's going to be more media to come.
Yeah, well, the best thing is it's going to change. So accept that it's going to change. And it's going to change faster than you want in different ways, and it's not going to be the way you want it, right? Because I grew up, we watched TV a certain way. This is the way it was. 9 o'clock, this came on. 10 o'clock, this came on. It's going to change. Get over it, move past it. Drink the Kool-Aid, because that's going to, and then the second is embrace that change. And then find the things and get comfortable with what you like to do and how you like to do it, and then dive in. And just, drink the Kool-Aid by the gallon, because the faster you get to that, you'll be in a better place than you were before. Resisting it, you will die. Adapting and changing, you'll live, and you'll live to fight another day.
What about curiosity?
I love curiosity. I'm always looking for things. Again, and you're going to try things, and you are going to fall flat on your face. You're going to look stupid.
Okay.
That's okay. I mean, you don't become a maestro by playing, perfect notes. And so the same thing holds true for companies. You're going to make mistakes. It's okay. No one died.
Awesome. Okay, last question, super easy. Where can people find out more about you and C-Suite Network?
Well, just go to C-Suite Network, C-Suite TV, C-Suite Radio, C-Suite Book Club, anything with C-Suite, C-Suite. That's where we're at. We dominate that channel, and we're there to help serve every executive we can.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey, for coming in, sharing all of your advice and insights. We really appreciate it.
Well, you made it easy.
Oh, well, good. And thanks to all of you for tuning in to the Nasdaq PR Influencer Show. I'm Deirdre Breckenridge signing off for now, but stay tuned for more from Nasdaq.